Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha.
Being nothing. I read an interesting expression the other day. Something about science being the search for the nature of reality. That's so sad. In that respect, the whole of science is a joke doomed to failure. You see, reality has no nature. The big joke about waking up, enlightenment, is that when you wake up to nothingness. There's nothing there. It's all totally empty. Well, it's full of bliss and full of divinity, but it's basically blissful, divine emptiness. The light in the word enlightenment is the light of the torch shining back to illuminate the torch itself. Everything that is comes out of that nothing, but the nothing is just nothing. It isn't something that exists, it is existence itself. Let's come at that from another angle. In the Christian Bible, God says, I am that I am. In other words, he's saying, my name is I am. And that's really interesting. You see, back then the word name didn't actually refer to a label. It meant the nature of the thing. It wasn't until comparatively recently that the idea of a label for something occurred to society. Until then, the name of anything was some form of description of it, and that included people's names. The name ashtray describes what the thing is. Where that doesn't happen, or where it's not obvious, check the etymology. You see, even table starts with the Latin for flat plank, tabula, Old English tabula, and French table. Even people's names, way back, they weren't just labels, they described the person. Thomas means twin. Brenda means sword or torch from the Old Norse. David means beloved. Birgit is the German form of the Celtic Bridget, power, strength, vigour. It applies to last names as well. Walter comes from the old German name Walter, which itself is a combination of the Proto-Germanic vassal, ruler, and the Proto-Germanic Hari, army, military ruler. Back in the days when you were your heritage, a man might be called Wiglaf, son of Harold, son of Wulf. That would be if your father and grandfather had been great men. It told people who you were. It proclaimed your pedigree. In Scotland they used and still use Mac, meaning son of. In Ireland it was and still is O, which is a contraction of, meaning descendant, as in O'Reilly. Then we started to describe ourselves by what we did, Mr. Smith, Mr. Shepherd, etc. It was common to be called by where you came from, John of Hordle or James of Winchester. There are still loads of French names in the format Gilles de Rais or Albert de Maginot. The ultimate example of this is Sanskrit, where the word for something is the thing it names, literally. The vibrations that produce the word are the vibrations which, where they touch the material level, produce the physical thing. Only very, very recently have our names become mere meaningless labels. So when the old Hebrew writers wrote that God said, my name is I am, they meant it, literally. God was saying my name, the nature of what I am, is existence itself. Pure consciousness, pure nothingness. And that is what you become when you're enlightened. You finally make it to being nothing. And from there you start to evolve, to refine that nothingness still further. I once asked Brahmananda about evolution beyond enlightenment. He just laughed and said it was a very tiring process. Then he pointed to Dilip. He was the gardener. We all thought of him as the gardening idiot because he just wandered around doing nothing, saying nothing, tending the garden with a grin all over his face. We thought he was an idiot. Brahmananda pointed to Dilip and said that was why he slept so much. Now, we all knew Dilip was enlightened because Brahmananda had told us, and part of why he got laughed at was because he was continually being found asleep somewhere. And Brahmananda explained that when you start your process of real evolution, you get to a point where you're getting close to breaking the boundaries of a higher state, and that does weird things to your insides. One of the results is that the yogi starts to sleep a lot, because when the gross system is asleep, all sorts of things can happen at the subtler levels. But Brahmananda's first answer was that evolving was tiring. But then he had a sense of humour.
Om Gram Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gram Ganapataye Namaha.